When I addressed the deranged occupant of the White House, Donald Trump, as a mad dog in one of my videos, some of you were surprised by the use of my objective for this man, but his current state of mind after getting a battering from Iran proves exactly why I was right all along. Whilst it will be for the regional experts and analysts to assess who won this war after the dust settles, the public pronouncement and overall conduct of the stakeholders of this war give you a clear idea about the winners, and Iran is clearly winning despite being pushed against the wall by the so-called military might of American and Israeli terrorists. It's been just 4 days since the Israelis and Americans launched their illegal aggression against Iran, but Trump has already started losing his sanity. This would be the focus of my video tonight. Also, in tonight's video, CNN journalists, not one, two journalists, are arrested by Israeli terrorists in Tel Aviv. Why? Because they were capturing the video of the destruction caused by Iranian missiles. And a former UK diplomat gives a dressing down to LBC presenter Nick Ferrari for his desperate war-mongering rants. So please stay tuned. What Marco Rubio said yesterday is turning out to be so bloody right. This thug Rubio had said that the Americans were being forced to fight Israel's war. This has evoked strong reactions from the American public and some lawmakers too. Trump and his terrorist Israeli masters, Benjamin Netanyahu, had thought that they would be able to replicate the Venezuela model in Iran, and the Iranians would be on their knees within hours of their military transgressions. But Iran had other ideas. Despite the assassination of the supreme leader and top military commanders in a cowardly attack by Israelis and the Americans, Iranians pounded American and Israeli interest with a barrage of ballistic missiles and drones. I will take you through the kind of damage the Iranians have caused across the region. But let's see what these batterings have done to people like Trump. You only have to look at his public statement today to conclude that this deranged and sick man is clueless about his future move. Today he blasted Spain for not allowing the Americans to use its soil for military strikes against Iran. So what does he do? He said he would happily violate Spain's sovereignty and use their military base, and no one would be able to stop him from doing so. This is what happens when you make a street thug, a petty criminal, the president of your country. I mean, he doesn't even care about international law. He's openly saying that. But some of the European, like Spain, has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. First of all, it started when every European nation at my request paid 5%, which they should be doing, and everybody was enthusiastic about it. Germany, everybody, and Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, and so I told him we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people, but they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain. This is how you would see Israeli terrorists talk to Palestinians when they snatched their land. This only shows the desperation of this man following a brutal response from the Iranians. Even people who once supported him and still do are now calling out the cowardice of him and his war criminal Israeli masters. Enjoy this clip from the Steve Bannon show. There's footage out there. People have to be, particularly now, people are being inundated with artificial intelligence, etc. So it takes a while to go through it. It looks like Tel Aviv is pounded overnight, and again today is some of that artificial intelligence. Are you confident talking to your sources? Because I've talked to people too, said they are getting pounded, but I just want to make sure. Yeah, I think we're talking to some of the same people in some cases too, but I'm not even talking about the videos that I'm seeing on Twitter. I'm talking about people that I know in the region or who are part of the year in the region and have a lot of ties. That is not being reported officially, obviously, because the Israelis won't let that out. But there are people who are living in Tel Aviv who are sharing things that they probably shouldn't be about what's going on in the streets and whatnot, and it is very brutal. And I don't think Netanyahu even believed it would be this bad. But here we do know too from the 12-day war. I mean, President Trump, this was one of the reasons for the big move. Beforehand was the that Tel Aviv was hit very hard in those last couple days before they brought the 12-day war to. Another sign of the Israeli and American desperation is the kind of targets they are hitting in Iran. Yesterday, they bombed the Gandhi Hospital in Thran before dropping bombs on the offices of 2 media houses, TV channels. Today, these human devils dropped bombs on passenger planes. This is how brave these cowards are. Just because they're unable to defeat Iran militarily, they are venting out their frustration on hospitals, media outlets, passenger planes, elementary schools, killing 168 to 170 girls. And what is Iran doing on the other hand? Iran is busy destroying the air defense of Israel and America, and the fact that Iran is destroying this air defense supposedly built using billions of dollars by using a few $1,000s worth drones says it all. Iran has just claimed to have destroyed a FPS-132, which is the largest US radar in the Persian Gulf that was capable of monitoring the entire West Asia. What you're seeing on your screen shared by Iranian state TV was being used for early warning with a range of 5,000 kilometers, and it cost $1.1 billion to build. Of course, the Americans haven't confirmed this loss since this would be so embarrassing, but experts are unanimous in concluding that whilst Iranians still have a huge stockpile of ballistic and hypersonic missiles and drones, the interceptor missiles are fast running out for the Americans, Israelis, and their Gulf partners. This is why the Israeli terrorists today arrested 2 CNN journalists because they were busy broadcasting the widespread devastation caused by Iranian missiles. Stop the camera. Okay. You can't take a picture. Okay, give me your telephone. Okay, stop. No, I want to see the now. It's now you understand why these demonic creatures want to control the media, and those who do not fall in line are either arrested or killed, as we saw in Gaza. Talking about media, this Iranian expert Janta Parsi gave a dressing down to a presenter from the rogue BBC for the shameless propaganda on Iran assassination of the supreme leader. Well, joining me for more on this is Janta Parsi, co-founder and former president of the National Iranian American Council. He's also the executive vice president of the Quincy Institute. Triada, thanks for your time. Where's your focus internally in Iran at the moment? Well, let me first say I'm a little bit surprised by the package because you had 3 voices from Iran who seem to all be celebrating and happy about the country getting bombed. I'm sure there are views of that kind undoubtedly, but to leave the impression that that is the entire viewpoint inside of Iran is getting close to Iraq-level war propaganda and war lies. Frankly, there is clearly a diversity of views inside that country, and plenty of people who, despite the fact that they obviously are very much against this regime that has been repressing them for so long, do not necessarily believe that they want to have war happen. They do not want to get killed in this bombing campaign or see the country be destroyed or go down the path of Iraq and Syria. So I was a little bit surprised that those only voices that you elevated were those specific voices that were in support of it. Given the fact that clearly there must be much more diversity. Also facing humiliation was the LBC's Nick Ferrari. This chap is notorious for cutting off his callers when he doesn't like their views on Palestine and Israel conflict. Today, he made a mistake of treating a seasoned diplomat like his caller, and the result was for everyone to see. Sir Richard Dalton, who previously served as the UK ambassador to Iran, gave this man a masterclass both on history and international law. The continuing, and I have to say widespread criticism of Sakir Starama in many of the newspaper's editorials this morning. So Richard, how fair is that criticism in your view? Good morning. It's unfair. There was a viable negotiation which the Israelis and the United States aborted. Secondly, we've caught the Americans on the roar at a time when they're having great difficulty domestically with justifying this war. There is no majority in the United States for this war. There was clear indications from leaders of Congress after the briefing a few days before it was launched that there was no reason shown to them why there was a case for compelling reasons for United States to go to war. At this time, they are now soft pedaling their regime change justification. They are now preparing their people for a long period of war against what the Americans had. The American people had a hope to expect. So when Britain confirms the position taken by France, Germany, and itself, and all our other European partners not to participate in the opening strikes, this is a difficult moment for the Americans, and they're lashing out against us, and we should not be unduly impressed by it. We should stick to a course which is in accordance with international law, while at the same time assisting the United States. That is in brief what Prime Minister Starmer is doing. So when it comes to defending UK citizens in the region, we don't even do it ourselves. We are doing it. We're allowing US aircraft actively, and we're actively assisting the United States in trying to destroy the Iranian missiles, which are raining down on. We didn't even defend our own base in Cyprus, Sir Richard. We left that to the Americans as well. I mean, how impotent should the United Kingdom look in your view? We're not looking impotent in the slightest. That was one small drone in which we didn't defend, launched by Hezbollah, and active steps were taken subsequently against the two drones that were directed at Akrotiri, which were successful. So we also have British planes in the skies assisting our partners in the Gulf to defend themselves against Iranian missiles. So the imputation that the UK is being weak is wrong. When it comes to the Ayatollah and the now dead Ayatollah, what is it that gives you confidence that negotiations could have proceeded and come to fruition? The clear statements by the Omani foreign minister who was mediating, and my own knowledge of the points which the Iranians were prepared to concede. These negotiations take time. Before they were aborted by Israel and the United States, many people pleaded for the United States to treat them seriously, but plainly they did not. But what is it you admire most about the former Ayatollah's regime then? What a daft question. Why is that a D question? I haven't indicated any admiration for the Ayatollah. Understanding, and you'll be closer to it than I understand, and you'll be closer to Richard. There were people being killed. Would you suggest that that's what? Because if you let me answer my understanding and you're closer to it than I is, this is a regime that was killing certainly possibly 5,000, possibly 35,000 of his own people and imprisoning thousands more. It was a regime that I would have thought needed to go. So I'm asking, what possibly could it be that you admired in that regime? There are a great many regimes around the world which need to go. But the important issue for Britain's national security is the framework set out after the end of the First World War to minimize the chances of the law of the jungle taking over from international law should be preserved. I'm afraid that our right-wingers, including Jeremy Hunt, are forgetting the lessons of the sacrifices of 20th century generations to try and prevent the law of strong powers overwhelming the rights of nations. And as a relatively weak power, United Kingdom security is dependent long-term on re-establishing the rule of law. Now, we didn't go in with the United States on Vietnam or on Somalia to participate in the war of choice against Yemen. It's nothing extraordinary for us to take a different position from the United States, and the people who are panicking about it are the Americans, their domestic political problem which they fear we have exacerbated. Lastly, I wonder, Sir Richard, the rules, as you rightly point out, that were established after the First World War with players such as President Xi, the late Ayatollah, President Putin on the world stage, are those laws still applicable? Laws that came about more than 100 years ago? Oh, come on. 100 years ago in the course of human history when human nature is what it is. But obviously we didn't have a Putin, or we didn't have an Ayatollah, or we didn't have a Times. We have had lots of them in the past, and it is wrong for us to think that just because we face a Trump and a Putin now, the laws which are there to protect small nations should somehow be jettisoned. Then this happened on the BBC. This BBC presenter, I think his name is Christian Fraser, said the quiet part out loud when he said that Israelis control the White House. Finally, someone had the courage to say this on a legacy media platform. This is how we carried out our journalism in the BBC during my time with this organization. But last night, Benjamin Netanyahu laughed off suggestions that he had dragged Washington into war. I mean, that's ridiculous. Donald Trump is the strongest leader in the world. He does what he thinks is right for America. He does also what he thinks is right for future generations. And frankly, we're partners in that effort because I've devoted my life to securing the life of the one and only Jewish state. And believe me, it's been a struggle. Is it ridiculous? Israel certainly has influence over White House policy. On Sunday, the Israeli Prime Minister admitted this operation had allowed him to do what he had yearned to do for 40 years. That's it for me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you.